You could feel it the moment Air Force One touched down in Alaska. A red carpet rolled out, fighter jets roared overhead, and a stealth bomber glided silently, like a shadow over the base. Cameras flashed, reporters held their breath. And then he appeared, Vladimir Putin, stepping onto the tarmac, calm, collected, smirking as though he owned the world. Trump followed. Promises of a ceasefire in Ukraine floated in the air. If there's no agreement, he told reporters, there will be very severe consequences. The world braced. Would America finally stand firm? Or would history witness a collapse of expectations? Inside the base, the meeting unfolded in less than 3 hours. Short, intense, and surreal. Putin spoke first, calm, precise, framing Russia's position as if the world had already agreed with him. Then Trump took the podium, his tone quieter than expected. We've made progress, he said. Many points were agreed to. When asked about the ceasefire, he simply replied, there's no deal until there's a deal. The threats of severe consequences? Gone. The promises of action? Unfulfilled. Russia's offensive in Ukraine continued. The world watched, stunned. And then came the miscommunication. An envoy claiming Putin had offered concessions. Later it turned out he had not. Russia was asking Ukraine to give up parts of its own land. The summit's words had been flipped, twisted, and the optics were unmistakable. Putin had gained legitimacy, while Ukraine and the world looked on in disbelief. At the press conference, Trump dismissed his own intelligence reports. He spoke as if Putin's words were more trustworthy than the warnings of experts who had spent years protecting national security. Putin, meanwhile, remained calm, confident, almost pleased as Trump rambled. Cameras captured every uneasy pause, every glance. Journalists lowered their pens, stunned. What should have been a display of American strength had become something else entirely. Back home, the reaction was immediate. Military leaders, intelligence officials, and politicians from both sides of the aisle spoke out. Words like, one of the darkest moments in American diplomacy, filled the airwaves. Social media erupted, memes spread like wildfire, hashtags mocking the summit went viral. Late-night comedians had a field day, but behind the jokes was serious concern. The country had seen its leadership falter in front of the world. Internationally, Europe and NATO allies expressed alarm. Confidence in U.S. leadership wavered. Ukrainian officials were furious, ignored in negotiations about their own country. Meanwhile, Russia celebrated. The red carpet, the cameras, the handshake, they had won the optics war. Trump tried to recover. He claimed he had misspoke, promising future talks with Ukraine's president. But the damage had been done. No sanctions, no troop withdrawals, no ceasefire. The grand promises had evaporated. Yet amid the chaos, one powerful truth emerged. Citizens, journalists, veterans, and advocates spoke up. They demanded dignity and accountability. They reminded the world that democracy does not rest on ceremony or red carpets. It rests on courage, integrity, and the refusal to let values be sidelined for spectacle. The Alaska summit became a story of contrasts. Spectacle versus substance, promise versus action, appearance versus reality. Putin smiled, Ukraine worried, allies questioned, and America's people watched, demanding better. Leaders may falter, meetings may disappoint, but democracy thrives when people stand up, speak truth, and hold power accountable. The strength of a nation lies not in one handshake, one stage, or one meeting, but in the voices of those who insist on justice and integrity. Trump may have echoed Russian talking points, but the American people answered back. Louder, clearer, stronger. A lesson for the world. Real power doesn't come from ceremony, it comes from values, courage, and the people who refuse to let integrity be compromised. So remember what you saw in Alaska. Leaders may come and go, words can falter, but democracy stands when its people demand it.
And in that moment, the real heroes weren't on the stage. They were in every citizen who refused to be silent, who refused to accept spectacle over truth.